I'm your host, Ian Collects, and today we're talking to Vincent Zurzolo about his lifelong passion for comic books and collecting in general. We're taking a look at some amazing books he has on his shelves, and also we are diving deep into his own comic series, The Addiction. So, welcome, Vincent.
Thanks so much for having me on the show.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. I mean, I'm really curious to hear about your collector's journey and what you guys are doing with the addiction. But
Sure.
let us start where it all began. What was like the first real collecting experience you can remember?
It's a great question. Thanks so much for asking it. I have loved comic books since I was a little boy. I had two older brothers that were 10 and 11 years older than me. And
Mhm.
so I got to look at their comic books and fall in love with comic books through their collection. I
Yeah.
remember looking at comic books before I could even read, just loving all the colors and the costumes and the characters. And it's been something that's been a love affair for me my entire life. As I got a little older, uh, as a young boy, I would scrape together any quarters, nickels, and dimes I could, go to the candy store and buy comic books. I'd read my brother's comic books. The first comic books I think I remember reading in like series were X-Men 95 through 100 and Giant Size 1, which were
Hmm.
incredible. Reading Hulk 180 to 182, the first Wolverine story, that was incredible. Reading Iron Man #1, the Marvel Treasury Edition with Superman versus Spider-Man, stuff like that just knocked my socks off. So I grew up in the 70s, and for me, that's like the golden age of comic books.
Yeah.
Then into the early 80s, collecting stuff like Wolverine miniseries, The Daredevils by Frank Miller, Teen Titans, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles later on, um, Nexus, Badger, all these great comic books. And of course, Amazing Spider-Man's my favorite character, and I shouldn't get lost in the shuffle. The Avengers, the Defenders, um, Deathlock. I remember loving Deathlock. So there's so many characters and so many comic books that I was absolutely passionate about. And when I was about 15 years old, I started buying and selling comic books with a friend of
Hmm.
mine where I grew up, in Rockaway Beach, Queens, New York. And so I would buy collections from people that I went to school with, or we'd put ads out in what was then a weekly newspaper for comic books called the Comic Buyer's Guide, which was an incredible newspaper. Uh, so, you have this ability back then to find collections everywhere. And it's been just a blast. I did it all through high school, buying and selling collections, and through college, buying and selling collections. And when I graduated from college, from university in 1993, I was actually selling comic books on the streets of Manhattan. So I would set up with two card tables, 8 boxes of books near the Wall Street area, the financial district. So
Yeah.
I was on
Yeah.
Broadway between John Street and Maiden Lane, and people would just walk by and come buy comic books from me. It was a very different time then where, people wouldn't mind, in the street spending hundreds of dollars on comic books.
Yeah.
So from there, I also built up my business. I was doing, back then there were warehouses, and it would be, you could buy comic books to package in a bag, 3 for $1. So I'd find
Hmm.
100,000 books, make 2 pennies per book. It's $2,000. Bring them from point A to point B, and the packagers would package them and sell them to Walmarts and BJ's and Costco's, like Cost Clubs, things like that back then. From there, I built up my mail order company, and then in 1999, I merged companies with my partner Stephen Fischler to delve further in the vintage comic market. And we had our company's called Metropolis Collectibles. We're the world's largest dealership for vintage comic books. And in 2007, we started a second brand called Comic Connect, which is the online auction site for vintage comic books. And we also deal in original comic art. Um, we sell pulps. We sell a little bit of everything. So it's been something that we've really enjoyed. We've built from here, and then to pursue a childhood dream of mine, I started the Addiction comic book. But we'll get into that in a minute. I did
Yeah.
bring some really cool comic books to show your listeners, your viewers, and I thought they'd get a kick out of it. This is the first appearance of Spider-Man, Amazing Fantasy
Yeah.
15,
Yeah.
and this is a 4.5 copy. It's priced at $49,000. and it's just one of the many books we have available for sale. Here's Daredevil #1. This is the first time Daredevil ever appeared in the comic. You can see he has a yellow and black costume in the
Yeah.
beginning. It changes to a red costume in #7,
I
and this
I
is an
mean,
$8.5. Very
where do you guys get those? I mean, those are the
so.
holy grails of comics, right?
So I've been buying and selling comic books since I was a kid. So as you know,
Yeah.
so we have a long network of a large network of people that we deal with on a regular basis. We have people who find collections, they call us up, or people who find stuff in their attics, and
Mm.
or customers who say, "Hey, I just had a kid and I need to move these comic books so I can pay for my kids whatever, or I'm going through a divorce, or I'm getting married, or
Mhm.
I'm retiring." There's 100 different reasons why people sell their comic books, and we buy them from all over the world. We just had a buying trip in London. I've been everywhere from the Middle East to Australia to Asia to you name it to buy comic book collections. The new movie just came out, Fantastic Four #1, right here. This is
Yeah.
where it all started. They even had an image of this creature in the movie. Uh, super cool book. And by the way, all these comic books are available for sale on my website, comicconnect.com. You can also take a look at Metropolis. Comic Connect is more of the auction site, which we have a massive auction coming up that'll be starting on August 25th and ending the week of September 14th. We also have an amazing mega monthly auction, which has more affordable comic books, including group lots. So if you like to read comic books, there's tons of great stuff. So comicconnect.com for our mega monthly auction, which is running right now, and then our event auction, which is going to have books like Marvel Comics #1, Captain America #1, Superman #1, Batman #1, so many cool things. But here's a Hulk #1. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
Hulk #1, Hulk, one of my favorite characters, that classic Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde story.
I have a reprint at
It's
least.
great.
Yeah, but just a reprint. I mean,
That's cool. That's cool. No, listen, it's great. I love it. Here's a really neat book. This is a Stan Lee signed. Let me see if the lighting. The lighting in here is just not great. I apologize for that. Here's a
no
Stan Lee
worries.
signed Journey to Mystery 83. This is the first Thor, so you can see this one. Um,
Yeah.
Here's an interesting book. Most people will not know what this is. Does anybody out there know what this comic book is? The significance of this? This is More Fun Comics #73, which has the the first appearances of three major DC characters. We have Dr. Fate on the cover. That's not
Mhm.
Dr. Fate's first appearance. What you have is inside this book is the first appearance of Aquaman, Green Arrow, and Speedy. And this book
Okay.
is $125,000. Yeah. So
I mean, that's a lot of money, but I mean the whole collectibles market. I mean, there are a lot of pricey pieces, but on that note, I mean, you are a collector like your whole life, as you told me. Um, where do you draw like the line between collecting and the investment kind of thing? Because
it's a great question. So the best way I can answer that is, I was taught very early on, if you want to make money in the comic book business, you can't keep everything. So
yeah,
you have to
yeah,
basically draw a line and say, okay, I'm going to keep these books. I'm going to invest in these. What I did early on was I would create this idea in my head that every collection I bought, I'd like to keep what I call a keepsake book, something that
Mhm.
reminds me of that purchase that I can look back on. And I don't do it with every collection. I used to do this when I was younger. Um, Nowadays, I mean, I have my personal collection. I have everything from Action Comics #1 to Amazing Fantasy 15 to Hulk #1 to a whole host of very rare and interesting comic books.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of have a balance. And if I'll move the camera around the room a little bit. You can see I also collect original comic art. And
Okay, so that's what you call balance, right? A full room stacked full of art and stuff.
yeah, and then there's my safe right there too.
Oh
And then
yeah.
I also collect Bruce Lee. This is Bruce Lee's only signed movie contract from Golden Harvest. It's a three-picture deal.
Oh,
And
okay, that's a
so
cool piece as
this
well.
is an Andy Warhol Polaroid of Dennis Hopper. This is a photo I took. It's not doesn't have much value except to me. The
Yeah.
photo right here, then the blue frame, is from the Led Zeppelin reunion concert from 2007 that I went to. So a lot of fun stuff, a lot of cool stuff. This is the first Silver Age appearance of the Flash Showcase
Mhm.
#4, and this one's priced at $33,500.
And all those are available at Metropolis,
Yeah,
right? Okay, I
100%.
will
Yeah.
definitely for those who are watching, I will definitely link that down in the show notes if you're interested in buying a couple of those.
ComicConnect.com and Metropolis. We have kind of some of the items will be on both sites, but the Comic Connect site is more for auction. We do have a large listing of fixed price items. Metropolis has a lot more of that. And here's another great book. This is Submariner #1, CDC graded 9.0, incredibly high grade, very, very rare. And this one's priced at $135,000. And last but not least,
What's special about that comic? I never have seen that one.
Submariner.
Yeah.
Namor. He was in the second Black Panther movie. Namor is the first superhero from Marvel. Marvel Comics #1 has the first appearance of Namor. And actually, there's a little controversy there because there's a comic book called Motion Picture Funnies Weekly, which was a giveaway in movie theaters that had a black and white story, same story, a
Hmm.
couple of years earlier than Marvel Comics #1. But it's so rare and it's so hard to find that many people will take Marvel #1 as the first appearance. But this is
Okay.
Submariner's first self-titled comic book,
Yeah.
Submariner Comics #1.
Oh, didn't know that.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah. And then last but not least, the comic book that the character that really um, exploded the Marvel movies into what they are today. This is the first
Oh
appearance of
yeah,
Iron
first
Man.
appearance Iron Man.
Tales of
Nice.
Suspense 39.
Yeah, really cool. How much is this one?
This one is only $10,000.
Yeah, okay. I mean, compared to the other one, it's cheap, right?
Yeah, it's less expensive, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me see. So we focus on the vintage comic book market and something I absolutely love and adore, and it's something I'm very passionate about. But as a young boy, I always dreamed of making my own comic book. And back in 1996, I was 25 years old. I started working on a comic book, and it started off just as an idea. I was at my drafting table, and I drew this picture
Hmm.
of a guy with a black face. He was he looked like a wraith from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Um, so, but he was in a suit, and he was a narcotics cop who gets busted by the mafia that he's been infiltrating, and they poison him and leave him for dead, and he turns into the addiction.
Hmm.
Um, I later brought my partner David Quinn in on the comic book, and we decided to make Nick Otino, Detective Nick Otino,
Hmm.
Dr. Niki Tino. So
Hmm.
we changed it to a female character. We felt like there were a lot of male characters, and it would be a really cool thing to have another female character, a strong woman. We also made Nikki is biracial. She's half Chinese American and half Italian American. We
Hmm.
wanted to have a very unique Eurasian look for the character, and also to be able to borrow from two amazing cultures in terms of language, in terms of culture, in terms of food. Food plays a very big part in the addiction comic book.
Yeah.
In our first three issues, we had food promotions, product placements. The first issue we had a cover, which I'll show you, which was the where is it? Ah, well, actually, I only have the VV red here. Well, I can show you real quick. So you see that poster over there, the red
Yeah.
poster? So that poster is the Grimaldi's cover. It's basically Grimaldi's Pizzeria, and we had an off-menu pizza pie that you could order at Grimaldi's,
Okay,
which
cool.
was the addiction special,
Yeah.
pepperoni's mushroom and truffle oil. So that was really fun. Then we did for the second issue, we had a scene where she teaches her boyfriend how to eat soup dumplings, which anybody out there who's ever eaten a Chinese soup dumpling, you burn your mouth usually the first time you eat one. And so she teaches him, and then we branded it with a company called Mila, which is a very big online frozen soup dumpling company. Then
Hmm.
after that, on our third issue, my favorite coffee shop is around the corner, and it just so happens Nikki's boyfriend Enzo is a barista, and we made him work at Culture Coffee. And we did a
Okay, yeah.
promotion where if you bought a comic book, from us. You got a coupon. You can go to the coffee shop and get any cup of coffee you buy. You get a free cookie. Their cookies are the best in New York City. They charge $5.25 for a cookie. It's like this big,
Okay.
the best chocolate, incredible. So we did that
Yeah.
promotion. So our new series that we're working on, we're going to have a whole different set of promotional things, and it's going to be really exciting. We're going to be premiering the new series, The Addiction, The Touch, issues one. We're going to be premiering at New York Comic Con. So everybody out there who's a Veve fan, you want to get to that show because we're going to have an exclusive that's going to knock your socks off. We're going to have a poly-bagged 3-pack that's going to have a redemption in it, and it's going to be unbelievable. When you guys see what you get for buying this 3-pack, it's incredible. And if you can't get to New York Comic Con, make sure you have a friend who's going to be going that can buy this for you. There's only going to be 100 of them, and we're planning on something very special here. And we're right now, I've been in meetings with Veve, meetings with other companies, and we're trying to put this together in time for New York Comic Con, which is coming up in October. So I'm very excited about this. But
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely tell that you are
yeah,
excited about that one.
and I want to also take a moment to explain that I've said this in every interview I do. Anything that has to do with the Veve community, we were the first digital comic book for Veve. This is the Addiction #1 with the Veve Blue and the Veve Red.
Yeah.
The support and welcoming and warm acceptance that we were given by the Veve community is something beyond my wildest dreams. And it means so much to me and my partner, David. We also have our head of sales and marketing, Kyo Shinobi, who many people would know from X and from the Veve community, as
Yeah.
well as Omegatron, who's been an incredible help. Those two gentlemen worked together to bring us the gold and silver logo membership giveaway thing that we did, as well as the faces of the addiction, which are now selling for thousands of dollars. I mean, if you can get one. I went online last week. The cheapest one is $8,888.88. If you want to buy it, there's
Yeah.
only 3 in the marketplace, which shows that the addiction is something that's very, very highly regarded by the Veve community, and we appreciate that. We don't take it for granted, and we want to continue to honor our relationship with the Veve community by bringing really cool and exciting things. And we have a fantastic team of people who are helping us. Both Omegatron and Kyo, really, really fantastic. And David and I are guiding it along. We're doing the creative stuff. We've got such a great story for you guys for the second series.
If you're new to Veve and haven't signed up yet, it would really mean a lot to me if you do so with my affiliate link. Through that, you are not just supporting me, you also get 10 gems for free to kick off your digital collecting journey and grab your first digital collectible. And now, back to the video.
But let's talk a little bit about the first series. So the way that the addiction came about, we were in. So I was 25 years old. I came up with this. We hired an artist. We wrote this whole issue, and we had everything sitting there ready to go. And at the time, I did not feel very confident that we'd be able to do this in a successful manner. And I shelved the addiction, just put it all onto a shelf and left it alone. I've thought about it many times over the years. You're talking
Yeah,
about
I think so, yeah.
yeah, so you're talking about 1997 is when we closed the book on it, and now fast forward 2007, 2017. The year is now 2020, and we're dealing with the pandemic. And one morning, we're all facing our mortality. And one morning, I woke up and I said, "Oh my God, if I died tomorrow, what would I regret not having done with my life?"
Yeah.
And the first thing that came up was the addiction. I picked
Okay,
up
and
the
then
phone.
you use.
Yeah, I picked up the phone. I said, "David," I said, "I want to get back to work on the addiction. I think the time could be perfect. This thing, we need to do this." And he
Yeah.
was so happy to hear from me. And we just got right back to work on it. And we decided we were going to do it in a very methodical fashion. We weren't going to worry about deadlines for a while. And we were going to focus on trying to craft the best story that we could. Because we looked back at the original script and realized that we wanted to change it, make it a little different. And for those of you who don't know anything about the addiction, I'm going to give you my elevator pitch. The story of the addiction is a story of Dr. Niki Tino. She's dedicated her life to fighting drug addiction. She's become so successful and helped so many people that the mafia realizes she's bad for business and they want to put her out of business. They kidnap her, shoot her up with a cocktail of designer drugs, and leave her for dead. And she does die. But later, the chemicals mixed with the blood in her body bring her back to life. Now she's got a second chance at life and a very uncanny ability. From her slightest touch, she can inject any type of drug into a person's body, and thus begins the adventures of the addiction. So that's our
That was
elevator pitch.
awesome. I mean, I
Thank
was
you.
hooked. I was
Yeah,
really hooked.
yeah,
Nice.
it's great. So we love this comic book. We love this story. We're so excited about it. We love what Niki represents. I've had people come up to me at the conventions. I've told them this story, and they look at me and they go, "I was a drug addict, and I've dedicated
Mhm.
my life to helping people, and this really touches me."
Yeah.
Nikki's also a child of adoption. Her mother was a drug addict. She comes from a broken home, and she was later adopted. And her whole meaning, her whole reason to exist is she wants to make sure what happened to her as a child never happens to anybody else. So there's a real kind of heart to this story. It's not just about fighting bad guys. Believe me, we've got some really great bad guys, but
Mhm.
we wanted to make this multi-dimensional. We wanted this character to have something to say beyond, hey, I went out and beat somebody up
Yeah. Yeah.
and fought the good fight.
More purpose behind that character,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So we have the food aspects, we have the helping people aspects, we have a very layered character. She's falling in love. That was another thing. We wanted this to be a romance. She's spent her whole life dedicated to fighting drug addiction and being a doctor, that she never had time for a relationship. And now that she's reborn as this character, this with these powers, she's starting to live a real life, and she's fallen in love with this guy, Enzo, and what's going to happen with them. And as we all know, everybody out there who's been in a relationship, you have these times where everything's great, and then you have maybe trust issues, you have
Mhm.
maybe there's certain things going on, there's certain things wrong with you that make your relationship more difficult, and vice versa. So we've tried to layer this almost like an onion, where you peel and get different layers of a person and feel what a real life would be in
So
our.
a really relatable character. You've tried to craft a really relatable character for the readers, right?
Absolutely. It's
Mhm.
it's because anybody can make a, not anybody, but there's a lot of two-dimensional characters out there. They put on a costume and they fight crime, and that's it. You don't really get to
Mhm.
know them. And then there's a lot of fantastic characters where they have those layers, and that's what we wanted to do with the addiction. We also brought in a fantastic um, stable of artists for covers, as you saw the Andres Labrada cover, which is one of the most highly regarded covers. Amanda Connor and Jimmy Palmiotti did this fantastic cover, and you can
Mhm.
see he's got Enzo, her boyfriend, here,
Oh
and
yeah,
they're kind
yeah.
of like in a reverse Superman Lois Lane situation. Um, we even had Art Germ, one of the most popular cover artists in the world. He did a cover for us. Newcomers like Mondo Freeman. This is Mondo's
Mhm.
first cover, which is also one of our biggest sellers. This is for issue number 3. And then we have the David Mack, the black New York Comic Con version, and the incentive cover. Really, really cool. David's an incredible artist and creator, a friend of mine, and it's just been absolutely wonderful to work with. And so those are just some of the covers. Our interior artist is Claudia Balboni, and it took us a long time just to find Claudia. I was telling you about the
Yeah.
process. David and I went through 6 months of trying to find the right artist. David has a lot of connections, and we also had to find a letterer, David Sharp, who's been fantastic, and a colorist, Brad Simpson, who is sensational. So you have this great group of people coming together. Claudia, we found through another comic book artist named Elena Casagrande, who is
Mhm.
very, very famous, very popular. I said, Elena, can you do the comic book? She said, no. But I said, do you have a friend that you might recommend? She said,
Yeah.
yes, my friend Claudia. And Claudia is out of Rome, Italy. And she's a fantastic, sensational artist. And she's doing such a great job on the second series of the comic book. Um, it's just been super exciting. We have the villain from the first story arc was named Mr. Licorice. Many
Mhm.
people might remember him. He was the candy coated super criminal. All of his weapons and all of his uh, crimes were all candy themed. He
Yeah.
had a sidekick, Bet Noir, which was a really interesting character. Originally, I had named Bet Noir Tiffany, and then David, my partner, changed her name to Bet Noir, and I was like, wonder why he did that. I finally one day I researched it and I said, oh, this is really interesting. So Bête Noire in French means black beast. It's
Mm.
also a chocolate cake, and it also means someone or something that annoys you. And it's the
Oh,
perfect name for this
yeah,
character
yeah, yeah.
because
Okay, a perfect fit. Yeah,
yeah, she's this petite little like anime girl, but she's really a beast inside. And then she's also kind of quirky and strange. And we have the candy theme being the chocolate cake, and then also she's kind of annoying. So
yeah,
you have this
yeah.
great character. Um, Let me see, what else can I tell you? We've actually even have some products like addiction T-shirts. We have you can't really see it right now, but we even have it's if you put hot water in this,
Oh,
it's an
yeah. I've
addiction
seen
logo
those on
and
X.
a
That
whole
those were really cool. Yeah,
yeah. And Keo for San Diego Comic Con made a whole bunch of stickers. These are very very rare and limited stickers. We got the
yeah.
Veve sticker right here. Yeah, so lots of fun stuff coming around, and when we're at New York Comic Con, we're gonna have some really great stuff too. Um, so, in a nutshell, we're pushing the envelope everywhere we can. We're gonna have our #1 New York Comic Con drop with covers, which I can't show you right now, but
Yeah,
we have
it's fine. I
covers
get that. Yeah.
by three incredible artists. So I'm very fortunate that being in this business for almost 40 years, I've met a lot of creators.
Hmm.
And I also have an art gallery here in Manhattan where we've done showings with exhibits with different comic artists. Um, Simone Bianchi, who you may know as a fantastic Italian painter, he's done everything
Yeah.
from X-Men to Batman, you name it, everything in between. He happens to be a dear friend of mine. We did an exhibition for him, Marvel Masterpieces. He did the cover, the card
Hmm.
art, and we had a great show in 2018. It really cemented our friendship and our bond. And I was able to call upon him and ask him to do a cover for us, and he hit this one right out of the ballpark. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable. You guys are going to love this. Then I also
Those will
happen to
come to New York Comic Con, right?
we will be at New York Comic Con
Yeah.
100%. We will have the addiction booth there,
Yeah.
and it's going to be really
And
exciting.
and
Simone will
there
not.
the
What?
the Vivi fam can see the covers there. Am I right?
Oh, yeah, they'll be for sale. The comics will be
Yeah.
for sale there.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we're
Okay. Just to make sure.
yeah,
Perfect.
we're gonna have the addiction. So each cover will have in the same way we did a red and a blue. We're gonna
Hmm.
do a Bianchi cover with the Veve logo and a Bianchi cover without the Veve logo. We're gonna have the other artist for our #1 issue is David Finch, one of my favorite
Hmm.
artists in comic books. He's unbelievable, and the cover he did for us is actually an homage to an earlier cover he did with Wolverine. It's I gotta find that cover so I can show it and so people will understand. But um, David Finch is a dear friend, super great guy. What a talent. And he's done a blockbuster cover for us. And then last but not least, my partner David created a comic book in the 80s called Faust. And
Hmm.
his partner on that was Tim Vigil, who is a fantastic artist. And Tim, years ago, did a uh, cover for a piece of art for us as a gift. And we were so inspired by it that we are using it for a cover. And actually, I can show you that one. I'm going to give you guys a sneak peek.
Okay.
VV listeners, this is a very cool sneak peek of this cover. Um, and the only reason I can show you this is because this has been on social media before. This is
Oh
the
yeah.
original Addiction. This is what my first character looked like,
Oh,
but
nice.
through Tim Vigil's eyes. Now, the
Yeah.
cool thing about this is we had to come up with a story for him. And basically, somebody had asked me, a producer had asked me, are there other addictions in your world? And I said, yes, there are. I thought it was
Hmm.
like a really cool question, a great idea. This character, his name is Chronic, and he will be appearing in our next miniseries. And he has the same powers as Niki, but in our world, let's use characters that we know very well. Daredevil and Punisher, right? So Daredevil won't kill people. He'll subdue them, but he doesn't
Hmm.
kill people. Punisher kills people.
Hmm.
Chronic is our Punisher.
Mm.
Whereas Nikki would touch you and knock you out.
Yeah.
The Chronic will give you a heroin overdose and you're gone.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so it's a very, very cool character. We're very thrilled to have that cover be part of this. And the Veve release, I have a feeling, is going to sell out in very quickly. It's
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, the Vivi community, I've never experienced something like that. I think it's amazing, and I can kind of guarantee that they will storm your booth. I guess.
yes. So
Yeah.
that's the other thing I want to talk about. So when we first did our first booth at New York Comic Con, I was sitting at this very desk 2 weeks before the show as our first printed books were coming in, and I sat there and I said, "Oh my God, what if I go to the show and nobody wants the comic book?"
Hmm.
And we're just sitting
Hmm.
there all weekend with
Yeah.
nothing. And then we got there, we set up everything, and we got there, and I will tell you that we had a 40-foot line
Yeah.
around the booth, 13-meter long line around the booth, and it was beyond my wildest dreams. We were signing, we were selling, we were so happy, and it was so absolutely just fantastic and wonderful. Um, you guys have really made this dream come true for me, and we really hold that responsibility dear close to our hearts. We want to do things that are going to make the VB community excited, happy, feel appreciated, and know that we care. I mean, we have a very great relationship with David Yu from Vivi and his partner as well. But David and I have been friends for a number of years. I hold him in very high regard. I don't know how he does everything he does, but it's pretty amazing. And they're doing a great job. And I want to see Vivi grow and grow and grow, which I think the addiction will be a very big part of that. And we may even, he was just telling me some very cool information. We may have some new product lines through Vivi that we're going to introduce to the community hopefully soon. So
Hmm.
that's it's exciting.
Okay. Okay. Quick break, and thanks for watching this far. I want this channel to be a place for every collector, whether you're new or a longtime veteran, to discover something new. With every episode, I bring a new topic to the table, hoping to spark conversations and learn from those with experience. Here's my question for you today. What's a classic beginner mistake in collecting that everyone should definitely avoid? All right, guys. Thanks for helping everyone out by dropping your knowledge in the comments. And now back to the episode. One question that pops up in my head. You told me first, like the addiction was, I mean, was an idea, and you've started, but you don't had timelines and not that much pressure to finish.
Yeah.
I would guess. How did that change now that
So
you've published already a few
yeah.
episodes and comics?
So when we did the first book, we took some time to get it right. We wanted to make sure we got it right, and we did our first three issues, and they came out, and everything was cool. And we were hoping to have a much earlier release for the second series, but again, David and I said it's better for us to do the right story with the right quality for
Yeah.
our readers, for the fans out there, for the VV community, everybody. We didn't want to rush it just to say, oh, we did it on this timeline. So this
Mhm.
next book we're doing at New York Comic Con, it's going to be really very special and very cool. And then we're going to have a, uh, a fantastic show. We're very excited about it. We have great colorists, great writers. We're waiting for the colors to come back on the issue one. Then we have a new designer who's going to be uh, working on the series for us. So there's a lot of very exciting things. We're also putting together a deal with a publisher. So David and I created ZQ Studios, and we published our self-published our first series.
Mhm.
We're now talking to an independent publisher called Black Mask, and we're very hopeful that we'll have a deal in place before New York Comic Con. Black Mask, one of the great things about the company is it's run by a guy named Matt Pizzolo, who's a big comic book fan, but also has great inroads into Hollywood. He just
Hmm.
finished filming their first movie based on a series from Black Mask called Four Kids Walk Into a Bank, and Liam Neeson's actually in that movie, so it's really exciting.
Yeah.
So we've always envisioned the addiction as not only a print or digital medium for a comic book, but also something that could be very, very adaptable for video games, for animation,
Mm.
for a TV series or streaming series
Yeah.
or a movie. I think the addiction has all the elements that you want to make something compelling and something that people will enjoy. And I think it's quirky, it's dangerous, it's funny, it's sweet, there's love, there's horror, there's everything in this comic book. Um, and I think when you have that great combination and those great layers, as we were talking about earlier, you have a viable property that can be um, used in different mediums. So
Yeah.
one step at a time. Let's keep making great comic books, and then hopefully the rest will fall into place.
Yeah, you should never stop dreaming, right? And I mean the possibilities. I think in terms of like what you can do with AI video and all that kind of stuff, I think it will be way easier in the next couple of years to like produce high quality video series and all that kind of stuff. So I
Yes,
can definitely see that. Yeah.
I would say that in terms of using AI, I feel very important to respect the creators and artists and things like that that
Hmm.
actually are doing things with their hands or or even on a computer. Um, but the way I think AI could be utilized is for someone who doesn't know how to draw, doesn't know exactly how to craft something, to use it as a starting point, to
Hmm.
be able to utilize it to for inspiration, and then from there you go out and you find your artist. I'd like it to look like this. I can't draw very well, but this is what I want it to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
Or I
As
don't.
a mock-up kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and it's a great tool. I think if you go into this trying to think to yourself, oh, AI is never gonna take over a human being's creativity. It's definitely going to be utilized.
Yeah.
And some people will utilize it in a way where they do use it to create something from scratch. I really like the idea of putting my time and effort and energy into creating and crafting something. And even my crude drawings, I can be useful. But some people don't even have that ability. So again, use tools out there, but don't let it be your end all be all for the creation. Because I think
Yeah.
something that's organic, something that's really comes from you is the way to go. And I feel that way also for artists and writers, everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Great take on that. Um, so we've mentioned Vivi a couple of times earlier, and you've said that you and David know each other for a long time. So what was like the first conversation you guys had when it came to publishing the addiction on Vivi?
So that's a great question. I love it because that conversation happened in this very room in my office.
Oh.
So David was here looking at some comic books and he saw some of the addiction art. And I said, I want to tell you about my comic book. So I gave him, the story, the pitch, and he said, wow, that's really cool. I was like, do you think there's any way we could sell this on Vivi? And he basically looked at me and said, yes, I really like it. And I said, are you sure? And he said, yes. I said, okay. So listen, I grew up in New York City. If I put my hand out and we shake hands,
Mhm.
that's a deal to me. So you want to shake hands? He shook my hand and I said, oh, he said, yeah, we have a deal. I said, great. And we went from there. We took off from there. It was really exciting. And, I will say this, look, there's a business component to everything we do. Obviously, we're trying to fund a comic book. And unfortunately, we got caught up in the Diamond distribution bankruptcy. I don't know if you know anything about that, but Diamond was our distributor for our print comic book and they went
Mhm.
bankrupt. And we lost all the money for our third issue of our print
Mm.
comic book. So while money is very important because it helps keep the creativity
Yeah.
going, to be able to pay for the artists, the prints, everything we have to do, printing of items. The relationship we have with Vivi goes beyond a monetary uh, place, because
Yeah.
if you counted all the hours that we've put into this and put into our developing the Vivi stuff that we're doing, um, I don't know if I'm working for minimum wage or
Yeah. Yeah.
one tenth
Got
of
it.
minimum
Mhm.
wage, because we're looking at this in a very long term type of thing. So please understand that we're excited about seeing the addiction trading and the aftermarket for really great numbers. It's just fantastic. But it goes beyond that with us. Knowing that, I hope people out there are actually reading our comic books. I hope they're enjoying the comic books, not just looking at them as an investment or like a kind of like a widget on Vivi. This is my
Mhm.
you know my investment portfolio. But take some time, look at the art, look at the story. We've really crafted something beautiful here, and we are so appreciative of everything that the Vivi community does to support us. And I don't think that, I mean, I'm looking at other drops, other releases and things like that, and I don't think it comes close to what we're doing. Maybe Marvel, but outside of Marvel, I
Yeah.
think we're
Yeah.
like one of the most highly respected and sought after properties on the Vivi universe. So that's really cool.
Amazing. So two questions pop up in my head. One really quick one. So you know David for a long time, and as it sounds, if you are like, hey, shake my hand, we have a deal. It sounds like you would say that David Yu is a really trustworthy businessman, and yeah,
Yes, everything that David and I have done together has been by the book, and he's been fantastic. And he is an incredibly passionate person about comic books. He loves comic books. He really has helped to bring a whole new world of collectors. People, I
Mhm.
can't tell you how many people I've met, but when they bought my comic book in the print, when they bought this, they said, "This is the first comic book, physical comic book I've ever
Yeah,
bought." I've
yeah,
just been buying Vivi comics on
yeah. I
digital.
mean, I've started on Vivi.
Yeah. So that's amazing to me. And anytime you have new blood coming into the comic book market, that means that maybe they start buying new comics, maybe they start buying old comics, maybe they start buying
Yeah,
vintage comic books. And that's another place where it's a huge benefit to me, because that's my business. I love this stuff, but it is something that you want to see the number of people collecting to grow and grow and grow.
yeah.
And it did that over the years, but we want to see it continue to grow. And we just had the Superman movie, we just had the Fantastic Four movie. These are
Mhm.
really fun movies. I enjoyed both of them immensely. And I see, like in San Diego Comic Con, Vivi had an FF party, and I couldn't make it because I had prior commitment. But I was like, I wanted to go see
Yeah,
the Fantastic. So that's what I mean. Like, Vivi's not just about making money; it's a community. And I think you go to these parties and you meet all the other people who are investing and collecting, and you talk to them, and you see they're from a very wide swath of the world. Like, there are white collar guys, there's blue collar people, there's families, there's husband and wife teams, there's all different types of people. And I think that's what's really special. It helps to build this amazing community. And again, yes, David, you fantastic guy. um I got to hang out with him in New York, in San Diego. We were at a convention in Italy together, and we got to
Mhm.
eat together, and we've spent time together. And he's just an absolute delight, and super smart guy too. Really, really smart, and very big picture type of guy. And also,
Yeah.
I don't know how. I feel like almost anytime I text him, he answers. I'm like, when does this guy sleep?
Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
think he is awake like 24/7. I mean, I can't imagine the workload he has on his table. I mean,
Yeah,
that's just
yeah.
just incredible. But the second question I wanted to ask on this topic is like, so it seemed that you were like open to the idea of like digital collecting, because if we take a look at the wider collecting space, a lot of people are, I would say, not really excited about the digital aspect of collecting and the digital new medium. What's your opinion on
So
that?
here's my perspective on digital comic books, in whether it be Veve or any other types. My opinion is this: anything that gets people reading comic books is a good thing. I don't care what format it's in. As long as we have a chance to reach people, that's a beautiful thing. Comic books represent so many different things to so many different people. For some people, it's entertainment, escapism, education. Some people just like the art. Some people just like the stories. Some people get inspiration for their lives, what they're going to do work wise, their vocation. I can't tell you how many times I've met a police officer, a lawyer, a doctor who's told me, I knew I'd never have superpowers, but I wanted to help people. So I became a cop. I became a
Yeah,
lawyer. I became
yeah,
a doctor. Became a firefighter. And there's so many other ways you can look at this. And it's really, or Peter Parker was a photographer. I wanted to be a photographer. Or Tony Stark was an inventor. I wanted to invent things. All those types of things. Those actually happen. And those are inspiration from comic books. So whether that comes from a print comic book or a digital, I want it to happen. So the next part of the question is, I remember interviewing Stan Lee, who I got to meet many times. And Stan had this great quote. People asked him what he thought about digital comic books. And he said, "Comic books are like boobs. They're great to look at, but better to hold in your hands." And when he said that, it's like, there's always going to be a chance that you're going to be able to get somebody over to buying a physical comic book.
yeah.
So, again, for me, it's not a us versus them type of thing. We're all part of this big, big universe. And let's start people out wherever they like. And as long as they're reading the comic books, that's a great thing. It's really what it's all about.
Yeah, perfect. I mean, that was a perfect explanation of that. And on that topic, where do you see like the digital collecting space evolve over the next couple of years?
So I think there's going to be a lot of different innovation for digital comic books and collectibles. Of course, you have statues, you have comic books, you have a gold logo, silver logo, you have Faces of the Addiction, you have all these different types of products. And by the way, I don't consider myself an expert in any way, shape, or form, but my perspective on this is there's so many other types of collectibles that can be brought into the market, and so many different things that can be brought into the market, um, that you're going to see an evolution. And what it's going to do is it's going to cross pollinate. Somebody who collects, I don't know, I'm just going to say Pokemon cards digitally will now start buying comic books. Somebody who buys comic books will maybe start buying baseball cards. Maybe some baseball cards will start buying, who knows?
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think there will actually be a hybrid collectible that will develop over the years, in terms of combinations of collectibles or sets of collectibles. Who knows? There's so many different ways to go with this. The most important thing to me is that uh, several things. People enjoy this. All right, that's really important. And I think we can't ignore the monetary aspect of this. We have to have a robust community that's able to buy, sell, and trade and enjoy it
Yeah.
in the same way that people can buy, sell, and trade print comic books. And I think the Veve marketplace is a really great place that can be done. But there's also other marketplaces and NFTs and da 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 da. Da. There's hundreds of different things. But we need to keep the excitement and interest and passion going so that we have this beautiful community. And the other thing about this is the end goal, I think, is, or part of the goal, I should say, is you want more creative people coming in and sharing their stories. And if there's a marketplace for it, then they can do that. If there's no marketplace, now they don't. And
Yeah.
so that's what we want to see. Like I'm so excited. I brought to Veve through I introduced David to Dynamite Comics, 24/7 Comics, Bad Idea. I put them all into contact with David because these are all my friends that are publishers. And I said, guys, this is a whole other community that you can really do great with. And
Yeah.
so they came on board, and they're having a really great success. I know Bad Idea has a they're dropping something this week, Cul-de-sac, and that's doing really well. And 24/7 has had some great books, and Dynamite's doing some great things. So I'm really happy to see that happening.
Yeah, perfect. I always say like both the physical and the digital both will exist, but they complement each other in
Mhm.
different ways, right?
Yeah, and Todd McFarlane said something great when he was talking about digital collectibles. He said, "Let's say I lived in Japan and I want to buy a comic book from the United States. The shipping alone will be so expensive." He said, "Now
Yeah.
I have a digital comic book. I hold it here. Also, storage. If I live in a small apartment in, let's say, New York or Tokyo, I don't have a place to put 10 boxes of comic books. But if I have them all on my phone, that's a great thing." And the other thing is that you don't have to worry about is, I mean, obviously something could damage your phone, but as long as it's in the Veve
Yeah.
ecosystem, it's there. You don't have to worry about something getting caught in a fire, getting caught in a flood. So there's a lot of different advantages, and that was from a great interview that Todd McFarlane did. It really crystallized the ideas of what the benefits are with digital. Now, of course, again, like Stanley said, there's nothing like holding a comic book in your hands, and that's I agree with that. And I'm old school. I love print comic books, but there's something for everybody out there.
Yeah, and I think what's great, I mean, like the comics you've showed in the beginning. I mean, they are all graded, and if you buy them, you will not read them, no? And in the digital form, I mean, most of the comics you've shown at the beginning are on Vivi, so you are able to read them. I think that is also a really great benefit on that front.
Absolutely, it is absolutely true. And I collect CGC graded comic books. I collect raw comic books. I read comic books. I read them digitally. I read them in print. I read reprints. It's all good.
Yeah, yeah. So, Vincent, before we wrap this up, first of all, that was a great conversation, in my opinion. I've learned a lot, and I've never seen so many amazing comics in one place. But I mean, you've showed your collection, but I think in everybody's collection, there's one or maybe a few pieces that are missing. Which pieces would you like to see in your collection? Which is your holy grail of collectibles or comics
So
in your case?
I have a lot of my holy grails. In terms of a comic book that I would love to have, there's a comic book called Startling Terror Tales, number 11. And I have a low grade copy, but I'd love to have a super high grade copy. It's a comic book. It's an orange cover, and it's a spider with a skull head, and it's drawn by a Golden Age artist named L.B. Cole. L.B. Cole, and I love that book. And again, I have a low grade copy, but I would love to find that super high grade copy. I'd just love to have it in my collection.
How much is it money wise, roughly?
I don't know. The high grade copy, it's a rare book, so I'm not sure what it would run. But you're talking probably it could be in the high five figures. So it could be 75,000 for a really nice
Yeah, yeah,
copy. But that's
yeah.
that's one book I really like to get my hands on in a high grade. I have a beautiful Amazing Fantasy 15 9.4. I have a Hulk number one 9.2. I have an
9.4.
yeah, I have an Action Comics number one
Holy shit.
3.0. I've
Nice.
got a lot of really great books, but that's one I'd really love to get. We'll see.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But do you store them at home, or do you store them in a vault or something? Because
Um,
I mean, those are so expensive and so valuable.
I'm not telling. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
I do keep them in a bank vault.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
it's a safe way to go.
Totally get that. I mean that's an amount of money in that collection I can't imagine. And also like the stories behind those comics. I mean, even if you're like collecting for so long, there are always like great stories with the collectible itself, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think the most important message I can give to anybody who's listening out there is if you like comic books, keep reading comic books. There's something great to learn from them. There's so many great series, even modern stuff that's coming out right now, Golden Age stuff, Silver Age stuff, Bronze Age, Copper, Modern, you name it. There's so many great stories. You just got to find what you're interested in, just like with any other book or TV show or anything like that, and enjoy it. It's in my opinion the greatest American art form.
Perfect. I think that was a great ending of this interview. Thank you so much. As I said, it was fantastic. And for everyone who is watching this, please let us both know what you think about the different topics we discussed. And if you like that content, please subscribe and leave a like. We would really appreciate that. If you enjoyed this content, then you will probably like this one as well. So go check it out and see you guys next time. Bye bye.